everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our first leadership development session of this semester, spring semester. We're so excited to have one of our very own Dean Yah Hughes with us today. I know, hopefully, you guys have met her. But if you have not, she is in the College of Business. I'm going to let her give you her bio. But I am super excited to hear this information. First of all, I know I need some help with self care. And so I'm sure that you guys do as well. We all have to take care of ourselves, and Dean Hughes is just the person to help us with that as an emotional wellness and leadership specialist. Outside of her being, a dean over there in College of Business, doing big things. So I am going to turn the floor over to you, Dean Hughes. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here at the office of URELAH, and the floor is yours.
Thank you all so much. I am so excited to be here and I'm excited to be with you all today. So I thank you for your time. Can you all see my screen and also see me?
Yes.
All right, awesome. So I just want to take the time right now just to thank Miss Craig and Miss Poe for allowing me to be here on today to share just a little bit with you about self-care for leaders. And I titled it Leading from Within because I think that as leaders, sometimes we're always giving to everyone else. And I really want to just share with you today how you can be more intentional, more impactful by leading from within. So, just a little bit about me outside of me working here at Delaware State University within the College of Business. So, I like to share some fun facts. So, I am a Philadelphia native. I am an HBCU grad. While I am not a Hornet, I love our HBCUs. But I am a former student leader. I was an RA, I was senior class president, I was chief of staff for SGA. So I would like to think that I know just a little bit about student leadership and kind of a little bit about what you all are experiencing as those leaders. And I gave the senior commencement speech for my undergrad graduation. I have been in higher education now for 18 years. This is ending my 18th year. I love journaling and long walks through Target and students. So I am very excited to be here with you today, just to share just some things that I've learned on my journey of being intentional as it relates to just self-care and taking the opportunity to lead from within. And I saw that you all were kind of commenting in the chat, and I would love for this to be an interactive session where you are sharing. If I drop some nuggets, you give me a yes or a aha if it was an aha moment. If this is something that's relatable to you, you can use your reactions, all of that good stuff. All right. So, we all know what it is like to be a leader. When you think of being a leader, there are several different definitions and terms as it relates to being a leader. But there are three things that I really want for you to understand as you are developing your leadership style, your leadership skills, that you'll always lead with intention, that everything that you do has value, that you would leave rooms better than they were when you came in them, that when you are on your journey and your trajectory, whether that is in your academic career, your professional career, whatever that looks like when you're leading, I want for you to always remember to lead where you are. Well, Dean Hughes, what does that mean? So, leading where you are means that you give your all while you aspire to go to the next level. You don't wait until you get to the next level to add impact, to engage, to really leave your mark. But you lead where you are, even if where you are isn't where you truly desire to be. I think that one of the greatest things as a leader is no one should know that this is not where you desire to be, to stay, that you are ready for the next level because you're leading so well in this space that when you get to the next space, they didn't even see it coming, in the sense of you still did everything that you said that you were to do. You still made that space and that place better because you were there and you gave it your all. And that third thing is what we're going to talk about today is leading from within. So when we say leading from within, for me, leading from within requires that we begin to take some introspect and look a little more closely at who we are. So it requires that we understand ourselves. If we're going to lead within, we have to know what's going on within. The second part of that is really being attentive to your needs. What is it that you need right here in this moment? Because as leaders, as student leaders, as students, there are times where the semester, the season, what's going on in the world requires something different from us, but we have to know whether or not we have the capacity to give it, and what do we need to nourish ourselves so that we could be just the best version of ourselves. Now, I know and understand during a global pandemic, we've been here for about 2 years, things look a little different. Right. And them looking a little different requires that first point. When they look a little different for what your needs are, when you understand who you are and how you show up when you're frustrated, how you show up when you're overwhelmed, how you show up when you just have so much going on in your life, when you understand what that looks like for you, then you can take the time and the opportunity to just be a little more attentive to those needs and what it is that this moment, this season, this semester, what's going on right now, what do you need now? Because what you need now may not be what you've needed before. It may be that now, because of the heightened sense of being virtual, being online, your brain capacity may be going all the time. And it may require that you take some time to step back and give yourself some brain breaks because you have sensory overload, whatever that may look like. I think that understanding that when you lead from within, outside of your values, your morals, and those things coming to the forefront, you have to be intentional about what it is that you need to thrive as a leader, not just survive, but thrive as a leader, and then be attentive to when those areas aren't up to speed or up to par so that you can begin making that investment in you. And when I say, you'll hear me say making an investment in you. And when I say making an investment in you, it's not always a monetary investment. Investing in you may look like taking time for a walk because your brain is overloaded. It may look like reading a book to get your mind off of things. It may look like going home to see family because you just need something familiar. You need that hug from your grandmother, your auntie, your mom, your dad, but taking that time to invest in you. When we lead ourselves first, then we can show up and lead in other areas and in other spaces of our lives. So I'm going to go to, where did my screen go? I can't find it. I'm not sure if you guys can still see it.
No, it's a white screen.
All right, can you see it now?
Yes.
All right.
There it goes.
So why is self-care important? Now, I want for you guys to, for whatever reason, I can't see the chat because I see just the PowerPoint. So I want for you, if you could unmute yourself and tell me in your own words why you believe that self-care is important. Don't be shy.
Go ahead,
Hello,
Tina.
good morning. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. Well, for me, like, self-care is very important because I've seen myself, like, I'll be more, if I don't take care of myself, I'll be more temperamental, like, not obviously like super bad, but I will be like, I will get short-ended with people more often if I don't take the time to, like, reflect on myself and, like, just do things for me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
For me, self-care is like a form of self-preservation. And I think I have a tendency, well, I'm sure this is true for a lot of us, to experience like burnout when we kind of exhaust all of our energy all at once. And so self-care for me is just like a time to reset and recharge.
Absolutely. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
I'll say self care is important because when neglected, it can like negatively impact other, like, it can negatively impact like relationships, work, and stuff like that. And also, I feel like you have to take care of yourself in order to like take care of other people. So in general, you're just more useful when you take care of yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I love that we got a male perspective. So thank you so much for that. I did see a comment that said being responsible for yourself and your well-being. Absolutely. So self-care is vital and it's important, not only because it helps us to show up as our best selves, but it's an opportunity for us to pay closer attention to who we are and what we need. And we have this saying, or you've heard a saying, you can't pour from an empty cup or an empty well. That is so true. You can only give from what's already on the inside of you. And when you give beyond what is there and you're not replenishing it, that's where the burnout comes in. That's where you begin to really jeopardize your wellness, your well-being, and all of that. So self-care is very important because I think someone said it preserves you and your well-being, right? It's an opportunity for you to always make sure that you're replenishing every part of you. So, what is self care? Because I think that there are so many different definitions of self care and what self care looks like. I think that it looks different to different people, but true self care is us establishing simple, habitual acts or actions to create wellness, harmony, and balance in our lives. So, again, if we are actively practicing self care, it means that we are habitually doing things that would create wellness in all areas of our lives so that there is this harmony and there's this balance within our lives so that it's not one area or one part of the scale that's not there. And as we think about that, I want to share with you the different types of self-care. Before I do, I want for you to take a stab at or think about how many types of self-care do you think there are? Or do you think that there are different types of self-care? Anybody? Never knew. Go ahead.
I think that there's many types of ways to care for oneself, but since there is only one self, as in only me, my own being, I don't think there would be different self-care if that kind of makes sense. Like in my logic, it's I can do many things that could help me and to, decompress and relax for the day, but I don't think that there's many like selves that I would have to attend to.
Got you. So I'm glad that you said that because that is going to segue us in. Because while you are one human being, there are different levels of ourselves. So we have our physical self, our emotional self, but there are 5 types of self-care to ensure that we are balancing or taking care of each part of ourselves. And I see that in, I think it's Niasia kind of just put it in the chat. I had to pull my phone out so that I could get the chat information. So there are 5 types of self-care. And because most times we don't understand that there are 5 different types of self-care, we focus on maybe 1 or 2. Usually it's our physical self, meaning make sure that we eat, that we do those things. But burnout is true in our emotions, it's true in our personal, it's true in different areas. So if you aren't careful and you're only doing one thing or one type of self-care, then this is how you could still get rest but be burnt out. So I want to go through what those 5 different types are, and then we're going to kind of discuss what are some areas or some ways in which we could do some things in each of those types. So the first one is physical. So physical self-care is all about the feeling that you have when within your body and maintaining your physical health, right? So that is how you exercise, the food that you put in your body, those types of things. So when you aren't physically taking care of your body and your health, it begins to show in how you show up in your breathing and, you getting loss of sleep, all of that. So you can see that if you neglect your physical self, that's when your body is tired and all of that, that begins to kind of go into other areas of your self-care. So one is physical self-care. The next one is your emotional self-care. Now, I would say this is one of my favorites. It's not my ultimate favorite, but it's one of my favorites. One, because I'm not sure if you heard Miss Craig. She said that I have a business and my specialty is in emotional wellness. So with emotional self-care, it requires that you attend to your emotions. That looks like giving yourself understanding, compassion, emotional care, knowing what happens when those emotions show up. So around midterms and finals, what emotions do you experience during those times when you are flustered, when you are anxious? How does that present itself in your physical body? How does that present itself in your actions? What can you do leading up to those moments, right? Where you know that it's going to take a lot out of you emotionally. And what can you begin to do to really recharge that emotional part of you so that when next week is midterms, so that when you have 3 to 4 midterms at one time, what are some things that you can begin to do to give yourself that self-care emotionally so that you can better handle or be better prepared for those high times, those intense times, or those times that require a lot of you emotionally? So then we have social self-care that deals with how you have healthy relationships, healthy family and healthy social relationships. So are you nurturing that part, or are you in relationships that require more of you than you're getting in return? Do you feel that you're in obligatory relationships? Do you feel that you have a good handle and health in that regards to that social aspect or that self-care? That is where we establish boundaries. That is where we take the time when we're away from our family for a long period of time, especially during COVID, us being away at school. What does that look like to nurture those relationships when you can't physically be in the room with them, when you haven't seen your family members that are very close and near and dear to you, that you haven't seen them in months? What are some things that you can do to really care for those areas of your life? Then you have spiritual self-care. And of course, just like it says, that deals with our religious beliefs or spirituality, whatever that higher being or that power that you believe in. Are you taking time to nurture that, right? Is that time where you get replenished? Do you take time to read or study or do things that you feel a connection and presence with whatever that religious belief or spirituality that you have? And then the last one is my favorite, which is our personal self-care. Now, personal self-care can look like sometimes we get our nails done, we get a massage, but it also can look like us taking time to honor the commitments to ourselves, that we take time to make sure that we are putting ourselves first. So it has to do with us knowing and honoring ourselves and the things that we enjoy. So when was the last time you did something specific for you, just to be in that safe space, just to be in that space of comfort, of replenish, of what that looks like? So while you have one physical body and you are one person, there are 5 areas that you need to take care of so that you walk away that and you're not burnt out, that you are honoring the commitments to yourself, to your body, to your emotions, to the relationships that are important to you, to whatever that higher power and being, and then to you and yourself. So these are the 5 areas of types of self-care. So I want for you to just take a moment now and share what was your response to hearing the different types of self-care. That's the first part. And then the second part, can you, and if you're not comfortable with sharing, that's fine, but can you pinpoint the type of self-care that you have been neglecting? So first part of that, what's your response or aha to learning the different types of self-care? Second one, if you feel comfortable, which area do you know that you haven't been giving your all in?
Naija, you can unmute.
Hello. Um, I feel like seeing all the different types of self-care just kind of reaffirmed it for me because I know there's different types, but sometimes I don't remember all the different types. And I think that for me, I mostly neglect social just because when everything gets really busy and I'm just like, I have a million assignments, I got work, I got all this other stuff that I'm trying to do. The first thing I'm like, well, I can't go to that social event, or I don't have time to, or like I don't have the mental capability right now to attend and be present at that event. So I think that's the one that I neglect the most.
Okay. Okay. And that's understood. Anybody else?
Delaney, go ahead.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Uh-oh.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, my internet went out for a second.
Okay.
I feel I'm sorry. I was gonna say the same thing, that I feel like I neglect social a lot. I tend to, be like, oh, I have homework, I have this and that. And, I do spend time with my team and stuff because I have to in those events, but I don't tend to be like, hey, you wanna go get coffee, or do something that's not related to bowling or related to school.
Got it. Yeah. So I want, and I'm going to put them on the spot. I want to hear from either Miss Craig or Miss Poe.
Okay, I'll go. And I'll take my thing off. So, what did I think in hearing about the 5 types? I might have known that, but it's always a great refresher to hear that again. That not only do I have to do things personally for personal self care, but I also should be thinking about emotionally, and the special one was social. Socially, thinking that that is the aspect of self care. And what was the second question?
What area do you feel that you kind of either neglect or aren't really giving as much attention to?
Okay, it's probably more than one, guys. So probably physical, just because I work so much and I'm in this office so much. And also in the past few years, it was personal. But I think in the past maybe 6 months, 10 months, I've decided to put my personal life as a priority. And it's not all about business and work, right? But making sure
Yeah.
that my personal life is getting tended to.
Awesome. So I know for me, even though I know all of the 5 types, right? You know how you know some things, you as Miss Craig said, but that doesn't mean that you are actively engaged or implement. So out of the 5 types, naturally, I knew all of them, but I would say just if you take out naturally the pandemic, because social, it was social for me, and then it was physical until, in the last 6 to 8 months. So those were the 2 that I felt that were that I didn't put as much time and effort into. And now I want to ask a different question. What's the one that that you have put the most time in? I'll go first. So for me, the most time I have put in what has been personal, because for years I neglected personal, and that has been one of my areas of improvement in the last maybe 5 to 7 years. So that is one of the ones that I can do kind of with my eyes closed. That's the one that I'm going to always, when I gravitate towards doing something for self-care, I always gravitate towards the personal. So now, what's the one that you're comfortable with that you don't need any ideas or any suggestions? You got this one down pat. You know the importance of this self-care.
So, Dean Hughes, before someone jumps in, you do have a message in the chat, and it's from Najaya.
Okay.
I hope I said your name right, but she doesn't have the mic capability, so she's putting her stuff in the chat. And it says, I realize how much I've been neglecting most of these different self-care types. I feel like all of them need work. I've been struggling with the emotional and physical ones the most lately.
Mm. And so I want you to understand that you are not alone with that, because a lot of times when we aren't taught, or when we don't see, and when it's not emulated on a day-to-day about those areas, it's hard to see what self-care looks like. Those are the ones that you really need to learn about, right? Because what do you mean? How do I care for my feelings, right? And I think a lot of times we're taught that when that feeling comes up, you deal with the feeling and you move on. But without going into a whole full-on emotional wellness presentation, but understanding that we have over 27 emotions, but we usually label them into just 8 different ones, right? Happy, sad, angry, those things. But there are so many different things. Like under anger, it may present itself as anger, but are you melancholy, right? Are you aloof? Those things. So everything isn't sadness. Everything isn't just anger. It could be hurt. So anger and hurt may show up in the same way, but what do you do to care for those emotions, not just when they present themselves, but when they aren't present? So our emotions only last between 6 to 90 seconds, meaning you physically experience an emotion in your body from anywhere from 6 to 90 seconds. That's when, if you've ever realized when you were angry or nervous, you begin to sweat, you feel things in your body. And then after a while, it sends signals to your brain. And then you begin to tell yourself whatever story based on the experience you had with that emotion. So in order to begin to care for that, you got to pay attention to how you experience that emotion, right? And normally as students, it's triggered during high peak times, when you're throwing yourself into work, when you can't get it, when you're frustrated with whatever the communication levels is of your professor, or just different things. What emotions are you experiencing, and how does that show up? And when you realize how it shows up, then you can take better quality care of it, and you could take introspect to say, what are some things that I can do to begin to control those emotions a little more? Not suppress them, because that's a difference, but taking time to honor them and giving myself the space and the time that I need until that emotion pass. And then what's the story that I'm telling myself with that emotion? So I hope that helped just a little bit. And then we're going to get into, after we answer the question of what type of self-care that you know that you are good at. I'm going to give you just under each of the self-care types, just a few things that you can do. And naturally, you can research more, or you can kind of pinpoint what works for you based on yourself. These are just some ways in which I believe that you can kind of begin. So I'll open the floor back up for you to tell me, I got this one. Dean Hughes, this one I got in the bag. I do this one. I could do this in my sleep. Which one is that?
Jessica, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
For me, the easiest one is definitely spiritual. I go to God for every little thing, whether it's like I woke up today and I was feeling a little down, or I just passed my test. Like, I go to God for everything. That's something that I can do like without even thinking. I guess the hardest one for me is maybe emotionally, because I like to push things off and I'll say like, I'm strong, I can handle it. It's not that big of a deal until like everything kind of piles on, and then I do get that burnout like you were saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? No? So I'll go into what some of the ideas or some of the things that you could begin to do for each one. So the first one is physical. And I know everybody says, okay, exercise, right? Yes. So exercise would be one of those ways where you can maintain your physical health. But sleep or rest is also a way in which you provide self-care. So getting adequate sleep, resting so that your mind can rest, stretching, keeping medical appointments to make sure that you are up to date on what's going on with your body, healthy food, right? I believe in enjoying food. I believe in enjoying life, but maybe establishing a percentage rule, right? I'm going to eat well 75% and allow myself 25% of the time to just do what I want to do, eat what I want to eat. I'm not going to neglect myself having a slice of cake, but I can't have a slice of cake every single day, right? So we can set those kinds of limits, and also fresh air and sunlight. So these help with our physical self-care, because just breathing in fresh air, the sun hitting your skin, it really changes our moods. It really allows for us to really bask in. So these are just some ways. And while I know everybody has a different sleep pattern and things like that, I know that there are research that says that there's a certain amount of sleep you should get. But I think that if you know your body and you know yourself, some people can get 5 hours of sleep and they're fine. They aren't running on fumes. That's not me. Some people need their full 8 hours, but in certain times or peak times, they may not be able to get that all the time. But what does rest look like too, right? When you're sitting down, is your mind continuously going over and over and over things? Or are you constantly thinking about something? Taking time to pause those thoughts, because when your brain continuously goes and you're tired, like you can be mentally tired even if you got enough sleep. I'm sure that you've all have received 8 hours of sleep or even more, and you got up and you were still tired or you still felt overwhelmed. So really taking time to rest your brain, rest your body, those things. Now, emotional self-care kind of, again, looks like you providing yourself with empathy. It's you taking time to, if you're a journaler, journal. If you're not a journaler and you need to talk it out, audio, the voice memo, if you have an iPhone, you getting those things out is good to really think through and really really take time to process your emotions, right? Stress management, right? Really understanding new ways and getting new tools to manage your stress. So because stress comes about as a result of neglected emotions. So when we care for them, we have a management plan for those emotions, right? It's taking time to listen to music, make art. I have a playlist for everything. So you can find a playlist when you're feeling sad, not sad music, because sad music only cultivates or triggers the mood that you're in. But what is the opposite, or what is it that you would like to feel when you're going through those emotions or experiencing them? How can you, whether you are a music person, art, movies, whatever that looks like, giving yourself self-compassion. So these are just some ways that you can really honor your emotions. So that social part, taking time with others, not saying that you have to cultivate the relationships that you have every single week, every single month, but those that are very important to you, try not to go more than 30 days without speaking to them, and no more than 45, if possible, without seeing someone, if at all possible. And if it doesn't allow for you to see them in person, try that virtually. So try not to go 30 days without speaking. Now, there are people that you're going to speak to every day, whether that's your mom, your best friend, your partner, whatever that looks like. But holistically, those relationships, try to really take that time with others. Setting healthy boundaries as it relates to your relationship, but also balancing your alone time, and social time. And then asking for help. Do you know that that is a form of self-care as it relates to relationships? When you feel that you are over your head with something and someone else can do it better, or they can calm you down, or they just have a way with words, that's a relationship that you want to make sure that you say, hey, when I'm experiencing this or X, Y, and Z, can you help me in this area? So then there is that personal. So when we say personal self-care, taking time to do things, some hobbies that you love, and it's not predicated on someone else, treating yourself depending on whatever that looks like for you, whether you're treating yourself to ice cream, to sneakers, to a bag, to perfume, to a new book, whatever that looks like, trying something new by yourself, and just really taking time to getting to know you now. And I say getting to know you now because when we experience life, when we experience new chapters, new things, it changes or it introduces us to a different part of ourselves. And that may not always be in a bad way, but it could be in a good way. How have you changed since you've been in college, right? Get to know those things. What does that look like for you? How have you, what are some things that you no longer like to do that you're still doing and it feels more like an obligation or a chore than something that brings you joy? So really taking time to listen to yourself, get out of that autopilot of just doing the same things over and over again. Getting some hobbies, go back to doing something that you love at least. I'm going to challenge you with this one as well. At least once a month, do something just for you. Dean Hughes, we are in the middle of a pandemic. We have midterms next week. When will I have time? There will always be something on your schedule. You have to intentionally carve out that time. If you are a taskmaster and you carve out time and you have a schedule, make sure that you're on that schedule, even if it's 15 or 20 minutes, just for you. And then naturally, the spiritual one is taking time to reflect, to pray, to meditate, to, journal, to attend either a Bible study, a worship service, a group, taking time to go for a walk and just marvel at what you see before you. So these are ways in which you can really take the time to do something. And if you look and pick at least one from each category, you'll find that you're able to do some of all 5 of them, because it doesn't require grand gestures. It can take, okay, today I'm going to meditate, but I'm also going to create a playlist for my emotions a little later. I'm going to take a walk. So it doesn't have to be these grand gestures. Sometimes it's good to do those big things when you need them, but it's small, everyday things that become the habit. Remember, we said that it's intentionally creating habitual actions. So taking time and making sure that you are cultivating in every area, so that when you look up, one is not neglected and you're not burnt out. And another thing as it relates to burnout comes when we don't have healthy boundaries in every area. So what are your boundaries you need to set in all 5 of these areas? What are some things that you need to say that are non-negotiable for you? So I can just share a boundary for me when it comes to physical. I told you that in the last 6 months, I've really been taking my physical well-being to heart. So I get up in the morning at 5:45, and my boundary is, after I take my time spiritually, I work out for 45 minutes, just me. I got to get that in, because that's giving to myself before I give to anybody else for the rest of the day. And that's a non-negotiable for me. So I don't care what time I go to sleep, I'm getting up and I am working out and I am doing something to honor my body and the commitment that I made to myself every single day. And nobody gets to infringe upon my time with myself physically. So these are ways that you begin to set those boundaries so that you're making sure that you honor them. So I'm going to go to the last slide, and this is just a quote. Leading within requires that you be intentional about your needs and your desires. And that happens one day, one action at a time, so that you lead yourself well, so that when you show up and you lead in other areas, you're able to lead more effectively, because you did the work to do and honor the self-care for you, so that when you're showing up in these other roles, in these other spaces, that you're giving the best of you and not giving from a place of obligation, a place of, I'm just tired. There are going to be times where you are tired, but making sure that you are intentional about what those needs are for you and what you desire. What does it look like for you to thrive and live if you are taking care of every part of you? What does that look like? What do you feel like? What are you doing? And then as you visualize that, begin to think about how you can begin to cultivate that on a daily basis. So that is all I have for you with leading from within, the importance of self-care for leaders. Thank you.
That was so awesome. If you understood how many things I have done and notes that I have taken that I need to go ahead and make sure that I implement myself. So we thank you so much, Dean Hughes, for taking the time out to speak to us today. That was amazing. Please, everybody, do your virtual claps. Share your gratefulness in the chat with Dean Hughes. She can see the chat now because she's not sharing her screen.
I can see the chat now.
But just such amazing nuggets that were dropped, and like I said, I've written a few down. One, a reminder that at least once a month I need to do something for me, right? Like, we give of ourselves and we help so many other people, and we think of ourselves last. I think of myself last. So I need to make sure that I do that once a month. The next that really hit home was when you said what you need now might not be what you needed before. so being strong in certain areas, but then realizing because of circumstances, because of challenges at this time, I might need that now, and I might not be that strong person that I thought I was in that area. So just being okay with that and adjusting to that. And then lastly, what I took is you can still get rest. You can get rest, but still be burnt out. I wake up many a times and still am tired. And so I have to look at those other aspects and realize that I need to address those parts of self-care. So Dean Hughes, thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you. As you see the chat, it's lighting up. And my light just went off. You guys know what the deal is. Um, but we're so appreciative to you. I have some announcements. Please stay on the line, guys. Don't sign off yet because you know what we do around here. So I'm gonna allow Mrs. Poe to give her thoughts and her feedback, and then I got fancy, y'all. We got a digital way that we can pick your names this semester. So I'm gonna share my screen with you, Mrs. Poe. Anything you would like to say?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Miss Craig. Dean Yah. Oh my goodness. I'm waiting for part 2, 3, 4, and 5. You have got to do. This has really helped all of us. I could see the comments in the chat. I can see the attendance from our amazing students. You poured a lot of encouragement and inspiration into our students just within this short amount of time. And we are just forever grateful to you for sharing what you know and what you're learning, and the authenticity of you really comes through, and it really helps a lot. I know I jotted down notes too, just like Ms. Craig. Be attentive to your needs. You invest in you to help to nourish yourself, and that is just, I'm like, okay, I got to put that on the wall because that is definitely true. Investing, treating yourself. I treat myself once a week. I don't care what it is. I don't, whether it's ice cream, and my husband makes sure that I do. And so what that does is it gives you something happy to look forward to. And naps are beautiful. I tell you, I take naps every weekend. And so, but to get that rest. But thank you so much for sharing it with us, the 5 areas of self-care. And so I want to turn this back over to Ms. Craig. Again, I am just eternally grateful for you, Dean Yah. Thank you so much. You are a blessing. You're dynamic. So keep on reaching for the stars, and you got our support. Ms. Craig?
Thank you so much. I thank you. I really enjoy being here with you all, and I'm so glad that you all found value, and it's something that you could implement now and not some big old thing that you're trying to achieve, trying to aspire to get to, but it's small things that you can do. And Miss Craig, I have something that I want to give out as well. Who was the first person that signed on?
Wait a
Do you
minute.
remember?
I have it. Najaya Ingram.
All right. So Najaya, I did this little thing and I wrote a book, and it's called Hello Me, The Power of Cultivating and Loving the Authentic You. So I want you to stop by my office this week, and I'm going to, if you're here, if you're on campus, and I'm going to give you a signed copy of the book. If you aren't here, send me an email with where you are, and I will ship it out to you.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much for being a giver, as always. You guys, if you have not been to, and I'm sending them to your way now, if you have not been to Dean Hughes' office, if you don't know her, please get to know her. She is a light on campus in the College of Business, first floor. What's your suite number?
Suite 106, Bank of America building, Suite 106.
Suite 106. Check in with her. As you can see, she's a wealth of knowledge and an amazing person to have in your corner. That's what it is being here on this HBCU, is to connecting to those people who can empower you, who can support you, who might have to correct you sometimes. But we're all here for you, and we love you guys. So connect with her. She's definitely one that you want to have in your pocket. Now, if the door is closed, don't go banging it down. Make an appointment or something. But make sure by the end of the semester you connect with Dean Hughes. All right, so I know you've been waiting, and I'm going to try to share my screen because this is fancy, and I just got to be fancy Y'all know how we do this. So everybody who attended today, I downloaded the attendance. Your name is on this wheel. We are drawing for a $10 Amazon gift card and a $10 Target gift card. Before I spin this wheel, make sure that you give me your email address in the chat if your name is chosen, okay? So here we go. And if Najaya, gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna learn your name because you're here with me every session. So please charge it to my brain and not my heart. But we're not. You already got your book, so you can't get the gift cards. Okay. Let's make it fair for everybody else. But here we go. Our first winner. All right. Can you guys see it? Okay. Is it Jeline? Jeline Franklin? I think. I'm sorry, but you travel with us all the time too. So make sure that you email me, dkcraig@DSU. I'm on campus all week. You can stop by and get your gift card. And then next, we have one more. Taylor. Okay, y'all are ready. See, it is a reason why you guys come to our sessions and get this information, not only to better yourselves, but you also get some fun gifts. So thank you again. I just have a couple of quick announcements. I'm going to put them in the chat. I want you guys to remember that follow us on Instagram. That's how you get all of our notices of internships, fellowships, mentorships, and all the fun stuff that we have going on. We also have our URELAH scholarships that are open. Remember, it's 5 scholarships, each awarded at $5,000 through a stipend, and 4 out of the 5 deadlines are April 1st. So I'm going to have the link in the chat for you. We also have an internship training program that we are beginning through our office. Starts March 15th. It's going to be every Tuesday at 4 p.m. for 5 weeks. All right, sign up for it. There's going to be some special perks for you attending. We can't announce it as of yet, but just know that you would be getting just powerful information for you to prepare you to go to your internships in the summer. And then lastly, it just slipped my mind. What else am I supposed to be telling you? Anyway, our feedback survey. Check your emails. Please complete your feedback surveys. They will be sent out right after this. We'll make sure it goes to your emails. We need to have feedback so that we know if you like this type of topics, if you like our presenters, if they were impactful for you, and what you want to see in the future. We really want to listen to you and give you what you need as to becoming a great leader here while you're at Delaware State University. And so we're here to support you. We're here for your resources. And we just are so glad that you were able to join us today. So thank you so much. Have a great Tuesday and a great week. Study now for your midterms next week. Don't wait until Sunday. Get them done. And if you need anything, we're here. Library, 2nd floor. All right. Have a great one, guys. Bye. Come and see me with your gift cards. You're so welcome, guys. Have a great one.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a great day.